Hello and welcome to another episode of Kerbal Space Program Live. We are going to be carrying on our save game from our previous live streams, and today our main aim is to get a space station into orbit. Now, if you've been following my YouTube channel, youtube.com/EllitopiaMC, you will have seen episode 9A of Kerbal Space Program Live off screen that went live a few days ago, and in episode 9A we put together a prototype for a space station hub, and we did actually successfully, after a few failures that I actually cut out of the video, we did successfully manage to put a space station into orbit. It was a close call, but we did succeed. So what I've done, hopefully if it worked, is I have transferred the ship and the space station into our save game, so I should be able to load it from here. There it is. And here is our ship, our wonderful Kerbin space station. Although I don't think we're going to call it the Kerbin space station, because that was just our testing name. This is going to be the Ellitopia Space Station, the ESS. The Ellitopia Space Station will be the hub of orbital activity for Kerbals henceforth. Nice bit of old English language there. Let's hope we can get this thing into space, shall we? Just let's have a quick rundown of what we've got here for those who didn't see the 9A episode on YouTube. We have up here, this is our Stayputnik. This is going to be an unmanned space station, at least at first. This thing can control our controls. This is basically going to be a remote control section of our space station. We have plenty of RCS fuel, we have our transmitters, we have our lights, but importantly we have lots and lots of docking ports, 4 at the top, 5 at the bottom, and we have our most important component is our mobile processing lab right here. This mobile processing lab holds 2 Kerbals. It has to have 2 Kerbals in it to operate. And the idea of the processing lab is that we can bring our science experiments from our missions back to the lab rather than having to bring them all the way down to Kerbin. And at the lab, what we can do is add an extra 15% to any science points that we've gathered before they get transmitted. And then the processing lab can actually reset those experiments so that we can send the same ship out on another mission to collect some more points. So this is going to be quite important to our future missions. It itself isn't going to be able to generate us any science, mainly because it's just going to be hovering above the surface of Kerbin, but it's going to facilitate the collection of a lot of extra science points. So this is our mobile processing lab, holds 2 Kerbals. This here is our hitchhiker storage container. This holds a further 4 Kerbals. So all in all we can hold 6 Kerbals on this space station as it is. We have batteries and solar panels and things so that we keep plenty of power while this thing is out of sun. And then we have all our boosters here to try and get this thing into space. Now, if you did watch the 9A episode, you will have seen that we managed to get this thing into orbit and have this fuel tank still full by the time we got up there. Or nearly full. We used a little bit of juice just to circularise the orbit. That's very handy because that means we can also use this station as a refuelling station. We can fly our shuttle or whatever in, dock it with the station, and then pump the fuel out of here into our shuttle to take it off on its mission. So, and hopefully at a later date we might be able to bring larger fuel tanks up here. Obviously to do that we'll have to unlock the larger docking ports and the larger tech. But certainly today's mission is to get this thing in orbit so that we can start having a play with our orbital mobile processing lab. So without further ado, let's get this thing out onto the launch pad. Exciting moment. As always, anybody that's watching in Twitch, feel free to say hi, feel free to ask any questions. I will try to answer them, certainly during the quieter points of our stream. Don't know how many people we've got watching with us today. I know that our regular viewer Jellyfish isn't going to be with us this evening, so he's going to have to watch this on YouTube probably tomorrow. Let's get a good view of this thing. Here we go. Okay, so the Ellitopia Space Station, ESS, and this is going to be our ESS launch rocket. Normal procedure, SAS on, throttle up to about 60%, which we found to be quite good. And we are resources on, there we go. We have no Kerbals coming with us. This is a totally unmanned launch. Let's just check that we've got all our staging right. I think these are all okay. I think I organised these in our off-screen episode. What's that one there? Oh, that's what that one in there. Okay, so that's fine. Oops, come on. There we go. Okay, so pre-flight checks are all in order. I think we are ready to try and put this thing in orbit, don't you? So, are we ready for a countdown? In 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We have a slow lift off. But we are lifting off, we are gaining speed, we are gaining altitude, which is always a good thing when you're launching a rocket. I love these particles that they added. You can see in the launch. So yes, very slow launch, but this thing, if everything goes right, will get us into orbit, just about. Just getting ready to disengage the first liquid fuel tanks. There we go. And they didn't hit anything on the way off. That was good too. Right. So, success so far. Slowing down again now, obviously, because we've lost the thrust of those engines, but hopefully we will catch that. Very strange trajectory here, but hopefully we will catch that before it gets too slow. Hopefully before it drops below 100 would be nice. Looks like we're going to be okay. There we go, we are speeding back up again. Come on, ESS. Let's get this thing in orbit. We are at 14,000 metres, but our apoapsis is literally only just above us. So I'm not starting our gravity turn yet. We are heading very, very slightly towards the east, so that is the way we want to be going. But we really need to be picking up some more speed before we start turning this properly. 16,000. Ideally, I kind of want that outside 30,000 metres, I think, before we start our gravity turn. Okay. Okay, we're looking good, looking good. About to lose these other fuel tanks now. Hopefully they won't knock this engine off on the way off. I didn't fit any separatrons on this, which was possibly a bit of a mistake, but we shall see. 3, 2, 1. No, okay, there we go. Off they go. And they didn't hit anything! Whee! Right, so we're on our last engine stage, so by now we're probably not quite on 70,000 metres, but I don't care. We need to start getting our orbit sorted. So let's bring this right the way down. Hopefully we will make the rest later on. Yikes. Come on, let's get this right, let's get this right, let's get this thing in orbit first time. We are above 70,000 metres. This is a good thing. Let's just push that a little bit higher. Maybe to about, I don't know, 75 or so, and then we'll flatten right out. Basically when we're above 70,000 metres. Okay, we are above, now, above 70,000 metres, which means we are completely outside the atmosphere. We are in space, so let's flatten out our trajectory, our thrust vector, and hopefully that will push our orbit around the planet. Might have done that a bit early. Hold on, let's move that up just a little bit. It's going to be coming round this way. Here it comes. Apoapsis is at 79,000, 80,000 now. Let's hope we can get this periapsis as high as possible. Just about to run out of fuel. Is it outside 70,000? Come on, come on, come on. Oh, look at that. We ran out of fuel. Did we run out of fuel? Yep, we ran out of fuel just as our periapsis hit 70,007 metres. So we are outside the atmosphere just. While we're here, we might as well dump that. And here we are. We are technically in orbit with our space station. Now that's going to be an annoying bit of debris. I'm hoping that maybe, I don't know, that might catch the atmosphere and drop in. Unlikely, but hopefully it won't give us too much issue later on. We still do have this full fuel tank, and what we can do is when we get around to our apoapsis, we'll just raise our periapsis out a little bit, which will definitely mean that we are clear of the debris that we've just left behind, and we will have our orbital space station in place. First time as well. Can't complain about that, can you? Okay. So, let's be pointing prograde, not retrograde, because that would be pretty bad. Oop, slow down. Slow. Come back, come back, come back, come back, come back, come back. Do, 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 do. Okay, stop it there, and let's bring our throttle up. Oh, which we have to do with that on. Ooh, thanks for that hint, Sperengi86 in our Twitch chat, that we can left click the apoapsis flag to focus it so that we don't have to hover mouse over it all the time. That's pretty handy. What was we at here? 341, so we want this at least around 300 somewhere. Just off centre a little bit there. $311. There we go. That's just about as random as 341. So that'll do us. There we go. We have our space station in orbit. How much fuel we left? Oh, lots of fuel left over. Loads and loads of fuel left over. So we can use this as a refueler for a little while. Let's get our wrong key. Get our lights on. There we go. We don't really need them at the moment, but we've got plenty of solar panels, so it's keeping us powered. Let's point ourselves up here somewhere, I think. There we go. Hopefully like that. We'll always have some solar panels pointing towards the sun. Obviously other than when we're on the dark side of the planet. So there we go, we have our space station in orbit, and somehow we can take a crew report, which is worth 5 science, even though there's no crew. That's quite impressive. We might as well transmit that. There we go, you can see one of our dishes pop out. Oh, that's kind of facing the wrong way. Good job that's not realistic. In which case, what I will do is spin this baby around and we'll point it down to make it a little bit more realistic. Added sound effects there. It's the sound of the crew back in the Space Centre. It's the noises they make when they're trying to control this thing. This is our remote controlled space station. There are no crew on this thing as yet, but we are going to rectify that relatively soon because we have lots of docking ports and lots of space to put peoples in. So let's go get some peoples. We'll leave this thing in orbit, head back to the Space Centre, and let's see what we can put together, shall we? Now, what I'm thinking is, I wonder if we can save this as a sub-assembly. We can. Now, what a sub-assembly is we are saving that whole chunk of our rocket as a orbital launching thingy. This thing got the space station into orbit. There we go. Now, our orbital launching thingy is now saved. We don't need this anymore because we've got our space station. So we want a new vessel, and we need to start building our equivalent of a Soyuz rocket, I suppose. Our equivalent of something that we can send up with people in it and maybe use as an escape pod at the same time. So
Okay. So now we go back to our sub-assemblies and we pull out our orbital launching thingy and we just attach that to the bottom, and hey presto, we have a pre-built rocket. Ta-da! Now I don't know if this is going to be too much fuel, if this is going to be too much for us to take up to the space station with us, but who knows. What the worst case scenario, we take it up there and we end up with loads and loads of fuel left over, and we can attach all that to the space station. Doesn't sound like a terrible plan to me. So let's give this a name. Let's call this what do we want to call this? I'm a celebrity. Get me out of here. There we go. This little escape pod is intended to deliver and retrieve our Kerbal friends from the ESS in orbit. There we go. I'm a celebrity, get me out of here. Because I'm pretty sure that that's what these guys are going to be saying once they are up on the space station. So who are we going to send up to our space station first? Who have we got on our crew? We have Gerwin, who did our... what did he do? He did our Minmus mission, didn't he? Meeting Minmus. So, and Molten Kermin's come back. That's very strange. I didn't think that Molten Kermin would respawn because we lost him somewhere on the moon. But he seems to have come back. So, I think, as we thought he was already dead, we will use Molten Kermin. He's our courageous Kerbal that we used for our moon landing mission that didn't quite go to plan. So he can courageously see what it's like to try and dock with our space station. Okay, so I think we are ready for a launch. Let's get this thing out onto the launch pad. Now in our tracking station, we can tell easily where our space station is. Not quite what our space station looks like, but there's plenty of time for that yet. And now, what we ideally want is for our space station to be around here somewhere before we launch I'm a celebrity, get me out of here. So, let's fly this, and straight away we will zip to the map. There we go, right. Zip to the map, and we'll speed up time until this comes to around here, because that will make it somewhat easier for us to dock with it if it's in the same place as we are. There we go, that'll do. And back to the ship. Ta-da! And we are ready for a launch. SAS is on. Throttle back up to 60%. And launching in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Ignition. We have liftoff. And a much faster liftoff than last time, I must say. Get rid of them. Bring it back up. Come on. Wow, this thing's hard to control. Doesn't on the floor there, methinks. Okay, hopefully we can correct that as we go. So, solid boosters are gone, we're on to our liquid fuel. Hopefully this liquid fuel will be more than enough to get us up into orbit. It should be. Oh dear, we didn't put our throttle up. Whoops, I keep making that mistake. It's alright though, it reacted pretty quickly. So, we're gaining speed again. Let's get this thing in the air. We may have launched a little bit late. I think the station may pass us by before we get a chance to meet up with it. To get our apparatus up as high as we can, as quickly as possible, so we can see where we're going to be. Let's set this as our target. We're about to stage these engines off as well. Well, our navboard says we're pointing in the right direction. If that's a good thing or not. I think we need to be below that so that we are shooting to end up ahead of it. Yes, it is a bit like trying to shoot a thread through the eye of a needle at 1,000 yards. So we are going to... Ooh, let's see where that ends up. Hey, look at that! Look at that! Look at that! What were you saying? We are pretty close there. Let's see what we can do to fix that. Difference. Where are we? 1.3 degrees. Oh, have I gone too far? 1 degree. 1 degree. Yeah, I'm on the wrong point in the orbit to be doing that. But as long as we put our nodes like that, we should be intersecting relatively close. Now, how far away are we there? 82 kilometres. Do we need to speed up or slow down? I think we need to slow down actually, don't we? Oh, that was wrong. Cancel that. Right. Let's come here, because this is the correct place to do our pitch adjustment. 0.5. 0.2. 0.3, okay. Wrong way, there we go. 0.1 degree difference. I think we can deal with that. Now, we're not going to hit it there, but we might be able to hit it here. So, let's see. What's it going to take? Oh no, okay. .11 kilometers. .7 kilometers. We have a separation from our target, which is the space station, of 0.7 kilometers there, if we do our manoeuvre here right. That's pretty close. It's only 19 kilometers away there, so we can even adjust it in this bit here. 700 meters. 700 meters is well, I mean that's ridiculously close. Obviously we'll have to adjust because otherwise we're going to re-enter the atmosphere, but I could you know, planned, of course. Now, we do have the problem that I didn't fit any RCS tanks or RCS boosters onto this thing. So, this thing flies like a brick. But, as long as I can get lined up with our target, I don't care if it flies like a brick. And the advantage of doing it this way is that after we've done our manoeuvre, I can dump our extra fuel tanks and they'll re-enter the atmosphere and we won't have any debris, which is very handy. Okay, so I can't see our ship, but our instruments say we're pointing in the right direction. We are 15 seconds away from our target burn point. I'm going to be burning at T-3, which is coming up in just a moment. 5, 4, there it is. And stop. Let's see what that's done for us. Clear the manoeuvre. We are going to come 0.8 kilometres, under 1 kilometre away from our space station on this trajectory. So, now, although we do have a lot of fuel left over in this tank, manoeuvring this thing with all this fuel attached is an absolute pig. So, I am going to I'm going to turn us around. Come on. As you can see, this thing does not move. And hopefully if I can build up some speed, I will fling this thing behind us. Shedding the extra weight. There it goes. Bye bye, useless fuel tanks. There they go, spinning off towards the moon. And now hopefully we have a bit more control, which we do. So I think we're going to need to slow down. Yeah, we need to slow down when we reach our target. How far until we reach our target? We are 56 kilometers away from it now. Our first intersect of the orbit is in 2 minutes, but our target intersect is in 4 minutes. So in about, that's about 2 minutes 40 and 4 minutes 20. So in about 3.5 minutes, we will start manoeuvring to bring ourselves closer to our space station. Are we burning? No. Let's activate our engines, that'll help. There's the space station, 2.3 kilometers away. We are currently travelling at 200 meters per second. In comparison to the space station, we are going past it, so let's correct that pretty quickly. That too late. All is not lost though.
Still travelling away from it, but I'm just realigning myself so that I am burning directly towards it. Okay, it's 4 kilometres away, and we are now travelling directly towards it at 30 metres per second. Now let's just get our trajectory right. How are we doing? Yeah, pretty good, pretty good, pretty good. Okay, we are heading towards it at 40 metres per second. Let's turn to face away from it to slow us down when we get nearer. And let's speed up time a little bit. Fortunately, we did fit lights on the space station. Okay. Kinda did that a little bit wrong. Let's get our RCS on to make some adjustments to this now. Okay. We can do this. We can do this. Let's keep an eye on the station. Okay. We are kind of parked next to our station with a fair bit of fuel on board. Now I want to change our camera to chase mode. Whoop, there it goes. So that I know what way all our controls are working. And I'll just gently nudge our trajectory. Right. Are we... Ooh, we're a bit close there, aren't we? Okay, we're kind of parked, so it's time to undock this fuel, decouple that, there we go, which gives us the control that we need to get docked. I'm going to aim for this docking port up here, and I'm going to control our ship from that docking port there. I'm going to spin us round. And I'm going to avoid hitting the fuel tank. Now you may notice, any of you that are familiar with the docking procedure in Kerbal Space Program, oops, let's go the right way, might help. I don't actually use the docking system. I don't use the docking computer because, to be quite honest, I don't understand it and I always get the controls wrong. So, this is how I do it. I line myself up, I point myself in the right direction, and I fire myself at the docking port. Just like the cavemen did.
Hey, look at that! I docked us on. Thank goodness these things have magnets on them. There we go, we are docked with the ESS. Look at that. So that's just some random debris floating nearby the station now. We are attached to our space station. Our first Kerbal is ready to visit our space station. So let's... Can we get a crew report from him? No, we get no science from that, so we'll reset that. Let's EVA Malden Kerbin. See if he can give us an EVA from here. Hey, 8 science. Keep that data. And let go. Turn on your RCS. And let's head you. I'm not going to head him to the mobile lab straight away. I'm going to check which side the door is for... It's not this side. So it must be underneath. We're going to head underneath to the door. Which is under here. See if we can grab on somewhere. Grab! There we go. And climbing up. On you get. There we go. We have our first visitor to the Ellitopia Space Station. He's transferred that science into the space station now, and now we can go. Look, he's taking his helmet off and everything because he's in this hitchhiker's pod. So we can go IVA inside the the Ellitopia Space Station. This is what it looks like in here. We've got what we've got up here. We've got board games in a closet up here. We've got toothbrushes up there. I told you I brought my toothbrush. We've got laundry, food, not food, refuse, trash, rubbish, and junk. They all sound pretty similar to me. And then space. Yes, that way leads to space. So don't be opening that door, Malden. He's got a nice little window that you can see out of there. Another one here. Nice little notice board there. And 2 little hatches here. Now, at this stage, they haven't given us the ability for our Kerbins to move around inside our space station. So these hatches are perfunctory. But there we go. We have a Kerbal in our space station. The Ellitopia Space Station. And there it is. Now, I understand they haven't added an internal view for the mobile processing lab, which is a bit of a pain, a bit of a shame. Hopefully in the next update, 0.24, maybe they'll add a nice little interior for us for the Space Centre. Now, something important that we need to do is, this is an escape pod now, so we need to make sure that this has got some fuel in it, which we can do by transferring it from this tank over here. There we go, watch that fuel pumping in. So at some point we are going to need to bring a refueler up here to replace that fuel tank, because I hadn't planned to use quite as much fuel in delivering this escape pod to the space station. But there you go, that can't be helped. And also the RCS, well, see, the RCS, this doesn't need any RCS anymore, it only needs a very little bit of RCS. I understand these are both full though, so we don't need to transfer any, but that RCS will be to get us away from the station and head us back to the planet. This fuel, hopefully, is to do the same. So, there we go. We have a space station in orbit, and we have a rocket design, albeit slightly faulty, but we have a rocket design to get our Kerbals to our space station with an escape pod to be able to get them home again. I mean, what more could you ask for? It's absolutely fantastic. Now, we haven't unlocked any science at this stage, so unfortunately we can't really unlock anything new. But I'll tell you what though, we can transmit the science that he got from his EVA report. It was only 5, but every point helps. There we go. And the solar panels will restore the energy. Interestingly, do the solar panels restore the energy? Yeah, they do. They restore the energy of the little capsule too, so that's pretty handy. So, oh, I call that a success. I think that is a successful mission. We have a space station in orbit. We have a Kerbal in the space station that wasn't in the space station when we launched it, and he's got an escape pod to get away and back to the planet if he needs it. Fantastic. What I will probably do is, over the course of this week, before we do our next live stream, I will do an off-screen episode to get a few more Kerbals up to our space station. So be sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel, youtube.com/EllitopiaMC, and you will be able to see our off-screen episodes go live there, so you can see how our Kerbals get on as we fill up our space station with our scientists. If you're watching this on YouTube, please don't forget to like, comment and subscribe, and feel free to share this video via Facebook, Twitter and any other social media that you think will get me some nice publicity. I have been El Bristow, this has been Kerbal Space Program Live, and I will see you next time. See you later.